I finished Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and now I'm going to talk about it. So things have sort of quieted down at Hogwarts, and Harry and the gang decided that they're not going to confront Hagrid unless there's another attack. But we know that Hagrid was expelled from Hogwarts a long time ago, and that he's currently banned from using magic, so maybe he was the guy that let the monster free. Unlikely, because Hagrid's a sweetheart. However, a while later, they come back to their room to discover that someone has ransacked Harry's belongings and stolen Riddle's diary. And of course, only Gryffindors know the password to Gryffindor House, so that means only a Gryffindor could have been the one to steal it. And what do you know, the very next day, Harry starts hearing those voices again. Voices that only Harry can understand. That sounds familiar. But as soon as Harry mentions this, Hermione's like, oh shit, I figured it out. BRB, I gotta go to the library. And that's why I like Hermione, because she's the smart one. Harry and Ron are all like, what are you talking about? Because they're the dumb ones. Or maybe not, because almost as soon as Hermione leaves them, there's another attack, and she is one of the victims this time. But again, they've been petrified, so they're not actually dead. This monster that wants to kill people is doing a really bad job of actually killing people. Curiously, a small mirror was found next to Hermione and the other victim. The other victim is Penelope Clearwater, who's a Ravenclaw girl. I don't know if she's important, but that's her name. But anyway, it kind of like reminds me of like a video game where you have to like find all the clues and solve the puzzle. I know they actually made Harry Potter video games, and I'm wondering if you already like read the books, would that help you like beat the game? But yeah, this book felt very much like a mystery, almost like a fantasy mystery novel. And I don't know if all the books are like that, but that's a pretty cool aspect. Everyone likes a good mystery. Anyway, so Harry and Ron are like, okay, we need to really talk to Hagrid. But as soon as they get there, they have to immediately hide because Hagrid has other visitors. Namely, Dumbledore and also Cornelius Fudge, who is the Minister of Magic, which is basically like the president of wizards, I guess. Anyway, Fudge is basically like, okay, there's been too many attacks and we need to like basically look like we're doing something about it. And we know that Hagrid had something to do with the last time the thing was open, so we're gonna take Hagrid away basically just to make it look like we're doing something, and if it turns out Hagrid is innocent, we'll let him out, but we have to do something. And Dumbledore's like, but Hagrid's a sweetheart. It's implied but not confirmed that Hagrid is to be taken to Azkaban, the formerly mentioned prison for wizards. Not too long after this, Lucius Malfoy shows up. I'm not sure how much I talked about him in the previous videos, but he is of course Draco Malfoy's father, and he is just as, if not more, insufferable than his son. Now Malfoy is on the board of governors for Hogwarts, which is basically like the board that makes all the decisions and runs the school, and he arrived to bring the news that Dumbledore has been suspended by the board for failing to stop the attacks. And while Dumbledore is a beast, if you really think about all of the crazy shit that continuously happens at this school and puts like the lives of the kids at the school in danger, like maybe Dumbledore isn't doing the best job, to be honest. So they take Hagrid away, but before he leaves a clue for Harry and Ron, basically telling them to follow the spiders that go into the Forbidden Forest. If you haven't read the first book, the Forbidden Forest is a forest that's forbidden to students just because there's a bunch of weird and deadly, dangerous shit going on in there. For example, in the first book, Harry witnesses Voldemort/Quirrell drinking the blood of a dead unicorn. Perfect place to build a school next to, am I right? So they go into the forest at night and it's all dark and creepy, and the first thing they find is the car, which, if you remember, the flying car that they crashed into the forest at the beginning of the story. So apparently, like, living in the forest for the better part of a year made the car develop a mind of its own, like it's been turned wild now. Don't ask any questions, it's fucking magic. And soon after that, Harry and Ron get captured by a giant colony of spiders, which is led by an even gianter spider called Aragog. They learn that Hagrid and Aragog are buddies, and Aragog was the monster that was thought to have attacked Hogwarts 50 years ago. And that's the reason that Hagrid was expelled. But it turns out Aragog didn't even attack anybody. It was all not true. Aragog's like, I was living in a cupboard the whole time, and the person that got killed was found dead in a bathroom. So at this point, Harry and Ron are like, okay, I don't want to bother you guys anymore, let's leave. But Aragog is like, nah. He's like, my family's pretty hungry and you're just like right there, so I'm just gonna let them eat you. It's cool. Fortunately, they're saved at the last minute by the now sentient car, which came barreling down the hill, flinging spiders everywhere. I kind of want to watch the movie just so I can see that on screen. So apparently the car just like lives in the forest now, which makes me think that we'll probably see it again sometime. But we now know that Hagrid was innocent. He did not open the Chamber of Secrets, and he did not let the monster loose upon Hogwarts. Because obviously, Hagrid is a sweetheart. So, a dead girl found in the basement. I wonder who that is. Probably Moaning Myrtle. Also, at this time, it's finally announced that they basically finished developing the cure to the petrified students, which is telling us that it's about time for this book to be wrapped up. Before going to see Myrtle, they visit Hermione in the hospital wing, who's been petrified. And they notice that in her petrified hand, she's clutching a piece of paper, which happens to be a torn page from a library book describing the Basilisk. The Basilisk is basically a giant snake monster that kills people by looking at them. So this puts everything together, of course. This is the reason why only Harry could hear the monster, because he's a parcel mouth. I'm still not completely clear about how that works. Like, snakes can talk to you, but only you can hear them. Other people can't hear them, but you can talk to snakes, and other people can hear you when you talk. It just sounds like a different language. And then I don't know. And the reason that everyone was petrified instead of killed is that they all very conveniently found ways to look at the monster but not directly, such as through Colin's camera or by using a mirror. Why do you get petrified when this happens? I mean, maybe that's the mythology of the Basilisk. Don't ask questions, it's magic. This also implies that the heir of Slytherin is also a parcel mouth, because parcel mouths apparently can not only talk to snakes, they can command snakes, which is how Harry Potter was able to tell that one snake in the dueling club to GTFO. So before Harry and Ron can go visit the bathroom, an emergency staff meeting is called, and Harry and Ron eavesdrop. They learn that the heir of Slytherin has captured and possibly killed Ginny Weasley, and they've decided to shut down the school and send all the kids home because it's just getting out of hand. He also suggests that Gilderoy Lockhart go ahead and find the Chamber of Secrets and stop the monster, because, you know, he claims to be this amazing wizard, but it's pretty clear at this point that they all know he's full of shit, and they basically do this just to like get him out of their way. But since Lockhart is supposedly heading to the chamber, Harry and Ron decide to go tell him everything that they know. When they catch up to him though, he's like packing his bags. He's about to dip the fuck out and go home. He reveals to him that he really didn't do any of the shit that he claims to have done in all his books and stuff, which is a huge surprise. He basically like found great wizards and like learned what they did, and then cast a memory charm at them so they would forget that they did it, so he could take credit for it. Memory charms are apparently the one magic thing that Lockhart is actually good at. In fact, he tries to cast a memory charm on Harry and Ron, but Harry uses some of the skills he learned in the dueling club to avoid it. So Harry and Ron make their way to Myrtle's bathroom, and they bring Lockhart with them, even though Lockhart's like completely useless. I'm not sure why. So as they guess, the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets is indeed in the bathroom. Hidden behind some sink that was broken is a large pipe that he was able to open, and they jump down the hole into the chamber. Lockhart tries once again to get the jump on the boys. He grabs Ron's wand and tries to cast another memory charm at them. I don't know if I mentioned this because I didn't know it was going to turn out to be important, but Ron's magic wand has been fucking up the whole book. Basically every time he tries to use it, something weird happens or it backfires and it hits himself. That's basically what happened when Lockhart tried to use it. Basically fucks up and causes a small explosion that makes the walls cave in a little bit and forms a barrier between Ron and Lockhart and then Harry on the other side. So Harry has to continue his mission alone. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that happened at the end of the first book. So Harry reaches the main chamber where he finds the lifeless body of Ginny Weasley like laying there, and then he's confronted by Tom Riddle. And Tom Riddle still looks like a teenager even though he was a teenager 50 years ago, and this is confusing to Harry, of course. Riddle explains that Ginny found Riddle's diary and basically started writing to him, and the more she wrote, like the more of her soul he could feed on or some shit like that. Basically, Tom Riddle used the diary to possess Ginny Weasley and through her opened the Chamber of Secrets and commanded the monster to attack people. He also admits that he framed Hagrid 50 years ago just to get the heat off himself. Why Tom Riddle wanted as a teenager to open the Chamber of Secrets and kill Muggle-born wizards, I'm not real sure. Maybe he's just evil like that. Riddle's a half-blood just like Harry Potter, and at some point he was made to hate Muggles just like Malfoy and Salazar Slytherin. But anyway, Dumbledore suspected him 50 years ago, so he couldn't really continue his work back then. So he created this diary so that he can continue his work through someone else. And it ended up being Ginny Weasley 50 years later. But Ginny got spooked and got rid of the diary, and that's when Harry found it. And then Tom says that's when he became fascinated with Harry Potter, because Ginny had told him all the stories about Harry Potter and how he's so famous and how he defeated Voldemort. This is weird to me because Harry is like the least fascinating person I can think of right now. But apparently Tom like stopped caring about just killing random kids for no reason. At this point, all he wanted was Harry Potter. So he used the attack on Hermione and the capture of Ginny to basically lure him into the chamber. And I guess Riddle has fed so much on Ginny's soul that he's just able to physically manifest himself now. If you haven't figured this out already, the book now reveals that Tom Riddle is Voldemort. And in fact, his name, Tom Marvolo Riddle, is an anagram for I am Lord Voldemort, which is super lame. This means that there was this like teenage kid walking around calling himself Lord Voldemort. That's like super lame. But I guess he's 16. But then he kept using it like after he was an adult. Like I feel like you don't get to make up your own nickname. So he like learns that when he grows up he becomes this evil wizard that everyone is afraid of. That was probably pretty good for his ego. So now it's time for the big final battle. And just before this, Harry receives some aid. Apparently like being loyal to Dumbledore or something causes like magic shit to happen in your favor. I'm not real sure. But Fawkes, who I guess is Dumbledore's pet phoenix, came to help Harry, and Fawkes also brought the sorting hat, because that's useful. Voldemort summons the basilisk, so Harry has to run around with his eyes closed, but Fawkes does him a solid and basically pecks the eyes out of the basilisk, so he can't do his death gaze anymore. But he's still like a giant snake with huge fangs, so the trouble is not completely gone. Fawkes gives Harry the sorting hat, and Harry like puts it on, because that's what you do with hats, and that makes a sword appear. I didn't know the sorting hat could do that, but apparently that's something that the sorting hat could do. So the battle continues, they're like trading blows, and eventually Harry like shoves the sword right through the jaw of the basilisk, but not before being bitten by the venomous fang of the giant snake. And the poison was about to take Harry out of the game. He's like fading out, but quite conveniently, Phoenix Tears have healing powers, so I guess Harry was never actually in any real danger. So with the basilisk dead, it's mano y mano, or wando y wando. Actually not really that either, because Tom Riddle stole Harry's wand and he doesn't have one of his own. But not even really that either, because Deus Ex Machina, I mean Fawkes, brings Harry the diary, and Harry grabs one of the fangs from the slain basilisk and shoves it into the diary, which is enough to defeat evil 16-year-old Tom Riddle. And at the beginning of the chapter, you get this picture here. I don't know if you can really see it, but that's the picture of the fang in the diary. And I feel like that's kind of a spoiler before it even tells you what's happening. I mean, you may not know, but if you put it together, it's a book and a fang. Like, who do you think those belong to? So anyway, this defeats Tom Riddle, and it's enough to bring Ginny Weasley back to life. GG, Harry wins. Even though Harry is a Parselmouth, he apparently is unable to control the basilisk, or maybe he didn't think to. I feel like that would have been a cooler way to resolve the issue, instead of having this bird that has been mentioned like literally once in the entire book just swoop in and literally fix everything. Anyway, it's revealed that the memory charm that Lockhart tried to cast on the boys earlier backfired, and now he's lost his memory and he doesn't know who he is or where he is or anything. So everyone is safe, and Harry Potter's telling the story, and then old Lucius Malfoy shows up. It is revealed that Lucius Malfoy basically threatened the Board of Governors to remove Dumbledore, and it's revealed that he planted Tom Riddle's diary on Ginny Weasley. And this is all like very glossed over at the end of the book. It's kind of like Scooby-Doo, where they solve the mystery and everyone's just like laughing, ha ha. But this dude legit attempted to indirectly murder children. And they say that he has lost his job on the Board of Governors, but I'm pretty sure this is mostly because of the threats and not like for like being complicit in the murder of children. Now, I guess they couldn't actually prove that he did that, but it seems pretty glossed over for how fucked up it actually is. But, you know, there's a lot of other books, so maybe they'll get into that, because he really did that. Presumably he knew what the diary was for. I should also probably mention that Dobby returns at the end of the book, and we learn that Dobby was actually Lucius Malfoy's servant, but Harry tricks Malfoy into releasing Dobby and freeing him, so now Dobby is free, so that's a thing. Anyway, my impression of this book is very similar to my impression of the first book. It's like, it's cute, it was a fun read, I enjoyed the read, and I actually read it faster than I thought I was going to read it. And like I said, I liked the mystery aspect. I was very invested in learning what was going on and trying to figure out what was going on. The endings to the first and the second book seemed very like rushed and just like, out of nowhere, but I'm guessing it's probably a case where you probably appreciate them more if you read the whole series already. And I think that's the whole point. I think you're supposed to read the whole series. Like, each individual book is just like a chapter in the series. But I feel like a book, if it's one book, like this is a book, you know, a whole book, it should have like a cohesive story. There should be some change in the protagonist. There should be a beginning, middle, and end, and everything should fit together. And I don't know if it actually does, at least for the individual books. Like, if I weren't making this series, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna read any more of this, because it's like so many things left unanswered, and it's just like, you haven't made me care, really. Like, Harry Potter is the most bland, generic character ever. And in fact, most of the characters are pretty one-dimensional so far. I'm guessing and I'm hoping they evolve as the story goes on. There are some characters that I like Snape and Hermione and Dumbledore and Hagrid, but none of them really did anything in this book, so we'll see what happens. We're gonna keep reading. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. I hope it's okay. Hope you like it. If you do, I'll continue on. Stay tuned as I begin my reaction to the next book in the series, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and that should be starting very soon. So thumbs up if you like the video, and consider subscribing if you like this series, because it's going to keep rolling.